The large screen in the control room showed the stars moving past at incredible speed. Dr. Alan Wright could hardly believe his eyes. After 15 years of hard work, the fold drive was finally working. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel. "We did it, Alan," said Dr. Lisa Morgan, standing next to him. Her face glowed with pride as she watched the data stream across her tablet. "The fold drive is stable. Captain Miller reports all systems normal." Alan nodded, too emotional to speak. It was 2135, and humanity had just taken its first real step into the stars. The prototype ship Voyager Beyond carried a crew of 6 brave men and women. Captain Frank Miller sat in the command chair, watching as Earth became just another tiny dot of light behind them. "Setting course for Alpha Centauri," said Navigator Julie Brown. "At current speed, we'll arrive in just under 3 hours." Frank smiled. Before the fold drive, such a journey would have taken decades. Now they could be there and back in time for dinner. "Sir, I'm picking up something strange," said Communications Officer Danny Pottle. His fingers moved quickly across his console. "There's an energy signature ahead that doesn't match anything in our database." Frank leaned forward. "Slow us down, July. Let's be careful." The Voyager Beyond eased out of fold space, returning to normal speed. What they saw next made everyone on the bridge fall silent. A massive ship, at least 20 times the size of their own, hung in space before them. Its hull was made of a strange blue-green metal that seemed to shift and move in the starlight. "Are you seeing this, Control?" Frank asked, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Back on Earth, Alan and Lisa stared at the video feed in shock. "We're seeing it, Captain," Alan replied. "First contact. Stay calm and remember your training." "They're scanning us," Danny reported. And, "Wait, they're sending a transmission. I think it's some kind of greeting." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at an alien face. The being had pale purple skin, large silver eyes, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the ship's computer into something they could understand. "Human vessel, this is Captain Zevlor of the Zephyrian Exploration Fleet. Your presence this far from your home system is unexpected." Frank took a deep breath. "I am Captain Frank Miller of Earth's Voyager Beyond. We come in peace and friendship." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Your species has developed full technology. That is surprising. Our records indicated you were at least a century away from such achievements." Lisa grabbed Alan's arm. "They've been watching us," she whispered. The alien continued. "You are now entering space governed by the Galactic Council, a federation of 27 advanced species. Your arrival is inconvenient." "Inconvenient," Frank repeated, confused. "Indeed, there are protocols for integrating new species, forms to complete, assessments to conduct." The alien sighed. "Nevertheless, it seems we must adapt. The Council will want to meet with representatives of your species." Frank looked at his crew, then back at the alien. "We would be honored to meet this council." "Honor has little to do with it," the alien replied. "It is simply how things are done. You will return to your planet and prepare a delegation. We will send coordinates and requirements." Before Frank could respond, the alien added, "I must warn you. The Council has certain expectations. Most new species require centuries of guidance before full membership. Your kind appears to have skipped several steps in development. This will not be viewed favorably by all Council members." "Are you saying we're in trouble for developing too quickly?" Frank asked. The alien's face did something that might have been a smile. "I am saying, Captain Miller, that humanity should prepare itself. The galaxy is not always a welcoming place for newcomers, especially those who do not follow the expected path of development." The transmission ended, leaving the humans staring at each other in stunned silence. Back on Earth, Alan looked at Lisa. "I think we just discovered that the universe is full of bureaucrats." Lisa laughed nervously. and they don't seem happy to see us. Alan nodded slowly. Then we'll just have to change their minds. 6 months had passed since the first contact. Earth had worked quickly to prepare its first delegation to the Galactic Council. The massive space station called Harmony Nexus loomed ahead, a spinning collection of rings and spires that housed representatives from 27 alien civilizations. Ambassador Samantha Hayes looked out the viewport of the human ship with a mixture of awe and concern. Next to her stood Colonel Greg Peterson, her military advisor, his face giving away nothing of his thoughts. "It's enormous," Samantha said quietly. Greg nodded, "and we're very small in comparison." Their ship, the Unity, docked at an outer port. As they stepped through the airlock, they were met by a tall, thin alien with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. "Welcome to Harmony Nexus," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Kiv, your assigned guide. The council session begins in 3 hours. Please follow me to your quarters." The human delegation followed Kiv through wide corridors, filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, while others resembled nothing they had ever seen before. Many stopped to stare at the humans, whispering to each other, or making strange clicking sounds. "They're talking about us," Greg murmured. "Of course they are," Kiv replied without turning. "Most have never seen humans before. Some are curious, others are concerned." "Concerned about what?" Samantha asked. "Your species developed fold technology without oversight. This is unusual. Some find it troubling." Their quarters were small but comfortable. After settling in, Kiv led them to the Great Council Chamber, an enormous circular room with tiered seating. The humans were directed to a small section near the back. "Observational status only," Kiv explained. "New species must earn the right to speak." Grand Arbiter Xelforin, a massive being with golden scales and 6 eyes, called the session to order. His booming voice filled the chamber without any visible amplification. "Today we welcome representatives from Earth, a planet from the Outer Rim. Humans have somehow achieved fold technology independent of Council guidance. This is unprecedented." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Not all of them sounded friendly. "Humans will be granted observational status while we assess their development," Xelforin continued. "They will be restricted to their home system and 3 nearby unclaimed stars. No further expansion will be permitted until proper evaluation is complete." Samantha stood up. "Excuse me, but don't we get a say in this?" The chamber fell silent. Kiv tugged at her sleeve, trying to make her sit down. "The human wishes to speak," Xelforin said, his tone suggesting amusement. "How quaint. Please, enlighten us with your primitive perspective." Samantha stepped forward, ignoring Kiv's warnings. "With respect, Grand Arbiter, Earth has already established research outposts in 5 star systems. We come seeking friendship and knowledge exchange, not restrictions." A ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. A purple-skinned alien with a crest of feathers stood up. "The human doesn't understand," he said loudly. "Their biological inefficiencies are matched only by their technological crudeness. My species took 3 centuries to develop fold technology under Council guidance. These creatures stumbled upon it by accident and now think they deserve equal standing." More laughter followed. Greg tensed beside Samantha, but she placed a hand on his arm. "We didn't stumble upon anything," she replied calmly. "Our scientists worked for decades to develop the fold drive. We earned our place among the stars." "Enough," Xelforin said. "The Council has spoken. Humans will remain under restriction until properly assessed. This may take decades, perhaps centuries. Your eagerness to expand will not override our protocols." As they left the chamber, a small alien with gray skin approached them. Unlike the others, he seemed friendly. "I am Krill, a Vexillian merchant," he said quietly. "Don't be discouraged. The Council fears what it doesn't understand." "And they don't understand us?" Greg asked. Krell's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. "They understand you better than they admit. That's what truly frightens them." Samantha looked back at the council chamber. What do you mean? Most species take thousands of years to reach the stars, Krell replied. Humans did it in a fraction of that time. They call you primitive, but they're watching you very closely. Very closely indeed. 1 year had passed since the tense meeting at the Harmony Nexus. Despite the Council's restrictions, humans had established their first major colony on Proxima, the closest exoplanet to Earth. The colony was growing quickly, with over 5,000 people now calling it home. Engineer John Carter wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the strange blue crystal he had discovered in the northern mountains. The local minerals were unlike anything found on Earth, and John had a hunch they might be useful. "Hey, Susan, take a look at this," he called to his research partner. Dr. Susan Rivera looked up from her computer and walked over. "Another blue crystal. We found hundreds already." "Yes, but this one reacts differently to the energy field. I think it might enhance the fold drive somehow." Before Susan could respond, the colony's alarm system blared to life. A voice came over the speakers. "Attention all personnel. A council inspection ship has entered orbit. All research staff report to the main hall immediately." John carefully placed the crystal in his pocket. They weren't supposed to visit for another month. At the main hall, Colony Director Owen Bradley addressed the nervous crowd. "The council claims we're violating technology restrictions. They're sending an inspector named Madame Ziravex to investigate. Everyone stick to the approved research topics. Hide nothing, but don't volunteer information." The council ship landed an hour later. Madame Ziravex was tall and thin with pale green skin and large, all-black eyes. 4 armed guards accompanied her as she strode into the colony. "I am here to ensure compliance with council regulations," she announced. "Your development appears suspiciously rapid." Director Bradley smiled politely. "We're simply efficient, madam. We'd be happy to show you our work." Ziravex spent the day examining the colony's technology, looking increasingly frustrated as she found nothing obviously forbidden. When she reached John's research lab, she paused at his makeshift equipment. "What is this device?" she asked sharply. John kept his voice casual. "A mineral analyzer. We're studying local resources for construction." She picked up one of the blue crystals. "These are zenithium crystals. They're quite rare and potentially dangerous in the wrong hands." "We didn't know that," John said honestly. "We've just been cataloging what we find." Ziravex gave him a suspicious look but said nothing more. That evening, as the inspection continued, the colony's sensors detected a massive solar flare heading their way. Director Bradley called an emergency meeting. "The flare will hit in 2 hours. Our shields aren't strong enough to protect the whole colony," he explained. "We need to evacuate to the underground bunkers." Ziravex stepped forward. "Our ship's shields would normally protect us, but they were damaged during landing. We request immediate evacuation with your people." John suddenly had an idea. "The zenithium crystals. They absorb energy. If we create a ring of them around the colony and link them to our shield generators, they might strengthen the field enough to protect everyone." Ziravex looked shocked. "That's not possible. It would require a specific resonance pattern that takes years to calculate." John pulled out his tablet and showed her his research. "We've been experimenting with different energy patterns. I think this one might work." With no time to argue, they put John's plan into action. Colony engineers placed the crystals at strategic points while John and Susan modified the shield generators. As the solar flare hit, everyone held their breath. The shield glowed bright blue, straining under the assault, but it held. Both humans and aliens were safe. Later, as the council ship prepared to leave, Ziravex approached John privately. "What you did was remarkable," she admitted. "My people would have needed months of calculations to achieve what you improvised in hours." John shrugged. "We're good at thinking on our feet." "Perhaps too good," she replied. "The council underestimates your kind. I will report that your colony complies with restrictions, but privately, I believe your species will not be contained for long." After she left, Colonel Peterson, who had been observing the inspection, joined John. "What did she say to you?" John smiled. "I think we just earned a little respect." "Good," Peterson replied. "We'll need it for what comes next." 5 years had passed since first contact. In a secret laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Kate Williams stood before a group of government officials. Behind her was a strange machine with glowing blue crystals, the same type John Carter had discovered on Proximug. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present Fold Drive 2.0, she said, her voice echoing in the large room. "Using the Zenithium crystals, we've improved the drive's efficiency by 300%. Our ships can now travel 3 times faster than any Council vessel." Secretary of Space Alan Rodriguez looked impressed. "How soon can we begin production?" "We already have 5 ships fitted with the new drive," Kate replied. "They're ready for deployment whenever you give the order." Colonel Peterson, now a general with gray hair at his temples, nodded with approval. "The Council won't be happy about this. They're already concerned about our expansion to 7 star systems." "The Council's concerns are not our priority," said a woman at the end of the table. It was Ambassador Hayes, recently returned from another frustrating meeting at Harmony Nexus. "They continue to treat us like children while hoarding technologies that could benefit everyone." "Have they denied your petition again?" Rodriguez asked. Samantha nodded. "They claim we're not culturally mature enough for full membership. Meanwhile, they've begun restricting resource access in systems they previously said were open to us." The room grew quiet as everyone considered the implications. "There's more," Samantha continued. "My friend Krell has been sending me information. A faction within the Council, led by the Draconians, is pushing for active containment measures against humans." "Containment?" General Peterson asked. "What does that mean exactly?" "At best, stronger restrictions. At worst, military action to stop our expansion." Samantha's face was grim. "They're afraid of us, of how quickly we're advancing." Kate crossed her arms. "They should be. The Zenithium Enhanced Drive is just the beginning. We've started developing new shield technology, weapon systems, all defensive." Rodriguez interrupted. "We're not looking for a fight. But we may get one anyway," General Peterson said. "My sources tell me the Draconians have been moving ships to the border of our territory." The meeting was interrupted when Samantha's personal communicator beeped urgently. She glanced at the message and her face went pale. "It's from Krell," she said. "The Council just approved a motion to send technical observers to all human colonies. But Krell says they're really spies, looking to steal our Fold Drive technology and find weaknesses in our defenses." General Peterson stood up. "This is a serious breach of our sovereignty." "It gets worse," Samantha continued reading. "Krell says there's an assassination team on the way to Earth. Their target is—" She looked up. "Me." The room erupted in concerned voices until Rodriguez raised his hand for silence. "Ambassador Hayes, we need to get you to safety immediately." "No," Samantha replied firmly. "I need to go back to the Council. If I disappear, they'll know Krell has been helping us." "That's too dangerous," Peterson argued. "Not if we're smart about it," Samantha said. "I'll return as scheduled, but I'll need to escape once I've gathered more information." 2 weeks later, Samantha stood in a dimly lit corridor deep within Harmony Nexus. Krell hurried toward her, his gray skin looking almost white with fear. "They know," he whispered. "The Draconians found records of our communications. You need to leave now." "What about you?" Samantha asked. "I have my own escape planned. Here, take this." He handed her a small data crystal. "It contains details of their plans. Sabotage of your colonies, technology theft, even targeted attacks disguised as pirate raids." Alarm sirens began blaring throughout the station. "Go," Krell urged. "Use access tunnel J17. I've prepared a small ship there." Samantha squeezed his hand. "Thank you, friend. We won't forget this." As she raced through the tunnels, She knew humanity's brief peace with the Galactic Council was over. The real test was about to begin. Deep beneath the surface of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, the leaders of Earth and its colonies gathered in a secret meeting room. President Eric Nelson stood at the head of the table, his face serious as he looked at the men and women who carried the future of humanity on their shoulders. Ambassador Hayes has returned safely with the data from Krell, he began. It confirms our worst fears. The Council, or at least parts of it, are actively working against us. Samantha Hayes, still tired from her narrow escape from Harmony Nexus, nodded. The Draconians are leading the effort, but at least 12 other species support them. They see us as a threat that needs to be contained, or eliminated, added General Peterson, who now wore the insignia of Earth Defense Command. Their plans include what they call strategic reduction of human presence in certain systems. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this. It was Secretary Rodriguez who finally spoke. Then we have no choice. We must activate Project Constellation. President Nelson took a deep breath. I had hoped to avoid this, but I agree. He pressed a button on the table, and a holographic display appeared above them, showing dozens of small dots scattered across a map of nearby star systems. For the past 3 years, we've been secretly building ships and bases beyond Council monitoring. He explained for the benefit of those who weren't already aware. Hidden shipyards, training facilities, supply depots, all masked by false readings and dummy corporations. Dr. Paul Clark, a quiet man who rarely spoke at these meetings, cleared his throat. The AI systems for the new fleet are ready as well. Unlike Council eyes, ours are designed to work with human intuition, not replace it. This was significant news. The Council had strict rules about artificial intelligence, believing that advanced AI should replace flawed biological decision-making. Humans had taken a different approach, developing AI that enhanced human creativity rather than overriding it. How many ships do we have? Asked Governor Maria Reyes of Proxima Colony. 117 battle-ready vessels, General Peterson answered, plus support craft and defense platforms. Not enough to win an open war, but enough to make any aggressor think twice. Samantha leaned forward. We should also reach out to the smaller Council species. Not all of them agree with the draconian position. The Vixilians, like Krell, the Ardarians, and the Nexu have all expressed private concerns about Council leadership. Can we trust them? Someone asked. We don't need to trust them fully, Samantha replied. We just need them to stay neutral or cause delays in Council decisions. Every day we gain is another day to strengthen our position. President Nelson nodded. Very well. Ambassador Hayes will coordinate diplomatic efforts with potential allies. General Peterson will oversee the military preparations, and all colonies will begin quiet evacuations of non-essential personnel. What about the fold drive? Dr. Williams asked. If they get hold of our improved design. They won't, Dr. Clark said firmly. I've created a security system that will fry the drive if anyone unauthorized attempts to access it. We're also planting misleading information about how it works. As the meeting continued, General Peterson pulled Samantha aside. You've spent more time with these aliens than anyone else, he said quietly. Do we have a chance? Really? Samantha thought for a moment. The Council species are advanced, but they've grown comfortable. They follow established patterns, rely on technologies they've used for centuries. They lack something we have. And what's that? The drive to prove ourselves, she replied. They think their way is the only way. But humans, we try things that seem impossible. We take risks. That's what they fear most about us. General Peterson looked back at the holographic map, where the tiny dots of human ships seemed so small against the vast darkness of space. Let's hope that's enough, he said. Samantha smiled. It will be. After all, they've been mocking us since the day we arrived. I think it's time we showed them exactly what humans can do when we're underestimated. Alarms blared throughout Proxima Colony as the defense systems detected multiple ships dropping out of fold space. Governor Maria Reyes rushed to the control center, her heart pounding. "Status report," she demanded, looking at the large screen showing the space around their planet. "7 Draconian warships," replied Defense Chief Ben Foster. "They're in attack formation. No warning, no communication." Maria's mind raced. They had prepared for this, but she had hoped it wouldn't happen so soon. "Activate protocol shield. Get all civilians to the bunkers." Across the colony, hidden defense systems began to power up. For months, they had been building these systems in secret, disguising them as water processing plants and communication towers. "Governor, they're launching landing craft," Ben reported. "Looks like they plan to take the colony intact." Maria nodded. "Just as we expected. They want our technology, not our lives." She pressed a button on her console. "This is Governor Rice to all defense units. Operation Porcupine is now active. I repeat, Operation Porcupine is active." In orbit, the Draconian commander, War Leader Corvex, watched with satisfaction as his ships surrounded the human colony. His orders from the Council had been clear: secure the human technology and place the colony under Council control. The humans would finally learn their place. "The humans are not responding to our demands," his communications officer reported. Corvex made a dismissive gesture with his clawed hand. "They have no choice. Our scans show minimal defenses. Begin the landing." Back on the surface, Maria watched as the first Draconian shuttles entered the atmosphere. "Wait until they're committed," she told her defense teams. "Let them think we're helpless." The Draconian forces landed in 3 groups around the main colony complex. Heavily armed soldiers in powered armor marched forward, expecting little resistance. "Now," Maria ordered. Hidden panels in buildings and ground emplacements slid open. Defense turrets rose from concealed bunkers. The first wave of Draconian forces found themselves caught in crossing fields of fire from weapons they hadn't detected. In orbit, Corvex received frantic reports from his ground forces. "Impossible," he growled. "Our scans showed nothing like this." "War Leader," his sensor officer called out, voice tight with alarm. "Multiple fold space signatures detected. They're all around us." The space around Proxima suddenly filled with ships, human ships, emerging from fold points so close that the Draconian vessels had no time to react. It was a maneuver considered too dangerous by Council standards, appearing literally on top of the enemy position. On the bridge of the Earth-shipped Defiance, Admiral Claire Bennett watched as her fleet surrounded the Draconian vessels. All ships maintained position, weapons ready but hold fire. She opened a channel to the Draconian flagship. "This is Admiral Bennett of Earth Defense Force. You have launched an unprovoked attack on a peaceful human colony. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." On his ship, Corvex seethed with rage. How had the humans hidden such a fleet? How had they appeared so precisely around his forces? It should have been impossible. "We act under Council authority," he replied. "This colony has violated technology restrictions." "We recognize no such restrictions," Admiral Bennett answered calmly. "And we have evidence that your attack was planned long before any accusations were made. This evidence has already been shared with all Council species." On the colony surface, the Draconian ground forces found themselves pinned down and surrounded. What was supposed to be an easy show of force had turned into a disaster. In orbit, more fold space ruptures appeared. For a moment, Corvex thought reinforcements had arrived, but they weren't Draconian ships. 3 vessels bearing the markings of the Vexillians and Ardarians dropped into normal space. "Attention all forces," came a new voice over the communication channels. "This is Observer Trelken of the Minority Council races. We are here to witness and record these events for full Council review." Corvex realized he had been outmaneuvered in every way. The humans had not only prepared militarily, but diplomatically as well. Your choice, war leader, Admiral Bennett said. Leave now, or make history as the first Draconian to lose a fleet to primitive humans. Corvex had no choice. Recall all forces, he ordered bitterly. We are withdrawing. As the Draconian ships retreated, Maria Rise looked up at the sky and smiled. They won't underestimate us again, she said. No, agreed Ben. But I think that was just the beginning. 10 years had passed since first contact. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices as delegates from all 27 species argued with each other. The failed Draconian attack on Proxima Colony had thrown the Council into chaos. At the center of the storm stood Ambassador Samantha Hayes. She had returned to Harmony Nexus openly this time, with a small fleet of human ships for protection. The evidence is clear, she said, her voice carrying across the chamber. The Draconians attacked a peaceful human settlement without provocation. This violates the Council's own laws. Grand Arbiter Excelforan, looking older and more tired than when Samantha had first met him, raised his six-fingered hand for silence. The Council acknowledges the violation, he admitted reluctantly. The Draconian leadership has been censured. Censured, Samantha repeated. They attempted to seize our colony and steal our technology. They would have killed our people. The human exaggerates, argued the Draconian representative. It was a police action to enforce Council restrictions that your species has repeatedly ignored. From the back of the chamber, a new voice spoke. It was Ryan Mitchell, Earth's chief diplomat, who had just arrived with several data tablets. With respect, Ryan said as he walked forward, we have more evidence to present. He placed the tablets on the central display, and holographic images appeared above the Council floor. They showed secret meetings, plans for attacks on multiple human worlds, and communications between the Draconian leaders and Council officials. For years, certain Council members have worked to undermine humanity, Ryan explained. Not because we broke any true laws, but because our rapid advancement threatened the power structure that has benefited the oldest species for thousands of years. The chamber erupted again, with some species shouting denials while others demanded to see more evidence. Enough, shouted a small gray figure, Krell, the Vexillian who had helped Samantha years ago. He now wore the robes of a Council representative. The humans speak truth. Many of us smaller, younger species have suffered similar treatment. We were kept dependent on the older races, forced to develop slowly according to their rules. Murmurs of agreement came from several other representatives. Ryan nodded to Krell, then continued. Humanity does not wish to destroy the Council. We believe in its stated purpose, peaceful cooperation among species, but the current structure is built on control, not cooperation. He tapped another control, and new images appeared. Plans for a reformed Council structure. We propose a new system, Ryan said. One based on contribution, not age. Each species would have equal voice, with leadership rotating among all members. Technology would be shared for the benefit of all, not hoarded by a few. The Draconian representative stood up, his scales flaring with anger. This is outrageous. These primitives would overturn thousands of years of tradition. I will not stand for it. He stormed out, followed by representatives from 5 other species, but many more stayed, looking at the human plans with interest. In the days that followed, the debate spread beyond the Council chambers. On dozens of worlds, people of various species began questioning their leaders. Why were humans able to achieve in decades what had taken others centuries? Why were certain technologies restricted? Why did the same few species always hold power? On the Harmony Nexus station, protests broke out as workers from younger species demanded better treatment. The Council hardliners responded with force. Led by the Draconians, they seized control of key sections of the station, taking several representatives hostage. This has gone too far, General Peterson told Samantha as they received news of the coup. They're desperate and dangerous now. Samantha nodded grimly. Contact our allies. It's time for the coalition to act. Within hours, ships from 7 species gathered near Harmony Nexus. Human vessels alongside those of the Vexillians, Ardarians, Nexu, and others who had suffered under the old order. Leading them was the largest human ship ever built, the Unity, with General Peterson in command. All vessels, he broadcast, prepare for coordinated fold jump. Operation New Dawn is now active. Samantha watched from the bridge as the fleet vanished into fold space. The future of the galaxy would be decided in the next few hours. 5 years had passed since the Battle of Harmony Nexus. In that time, the galaxy had changed more than in the previous 1,000 years. The Great Space Station, once the home of the old Galactic Council, had been rebuilt. Its central chamber, now called the Assembly Hall, was filled with representatives from 43 species. Some had been part of the original council. Others were newer races, discovered once exploration was no longer restricted. At the center of the hall stood Samantha Hayes, her hair now streaked with gray, but her eyes still bright with the same determination that had driven her from the beginning. 5 years ago today, she began. The Coalition fleet liberated this station from those who would use it as a tool of oppression. Today, we celebrate not a victory of weapons, but a victory of ideas. Around the hall, delegates nodded in agreement. The battle had been brief but decisive. Once General Peterson's fleet had reclaimed the station, most of the old Council hardliners had surrendered, realizing their time was over. The Galactic Alliance, Samantha continued, using the new name that had replaced Council, now stands as proof that cooperation beats domination, that innovation beats tradition, that respect beats fear. In the front row sat Dr. Alan Wright, now an old man. He had lived to see his fold drive become the foundation of a new era of exploration. Beside him sat Krell, the Vexillian who had risked everything to help humanity. "We remember those who did not live to see this day," Samantha said solemnly. General Peterson, who led the Coalition fleet, Grand Arbiter Zelforin, who finally recognized the need for change, and countless others who gave their lives for a better galaxy. She paused, looking around at the diverse assembly. "And now, I have the honor of passing leadership to the next chair of the Alliance." The selection process was no longer based on age or tradition. Each species had an equal vote, and leadership rotated every 2 years. Today, for the first time, a member of one of the newly discovered species would become chair. Representative Valinor of the Luminar, Samantha announced. A being of shimmering light floated forward. The Luminar had been found in deep space just 3 years ago, living among the stars themselves. Their perspective had already brought valuable new insights to the Alliance. "I accept this honor," Valinor said, its voice like chiming bells, "and I thank humanity for showing the way forward." After the ceremony, Samantha walked through the station's gardens with Ryan Mitchell. Both had retired from official duties, serving now as advisors. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Ryan asked. "When you first arrived here and they mocked us as primitives." Samantha smiled. "Not exactly like this, but I knew humans wouldn't stay in the box they tried to put us in." "Now they come to us for guidance," Ryan said with a chuckle. "The Draconians actually asked for our help modernizing their educational system last month." "Times change," Samantha replied, "even for species that live thousands of years." They stopped at a viewport overlooking the vast starfield. In the distance, a new type of ship was preparing for its maiden voyage. It was the culmination of a joint project between human scientists and engineers from 7 other species. "Dr. Wright says the new drive will reach the Andromeda Galaxy within a month," Ryan said. "A whole new galaxy to explore. And this time, we go together, as equals," Samantha added. On the ship named Horizon, Captain Linda Cooper checked the final preparations. Her crew included members of 12 different species, all working together with the unique skills and perspectives each brought. "Drive systems ready," reported her Vexillian first officer. "Communications standing by," added her Ardarian communications chief. Linda smiled. How far they had all come. from being mocked as primitive newcomers to leading the greatest exploration mission in history. "Attention all crew," she announced. "Prepare for fold jump. The next great adventure begins now." As the ship disappeared into fold space, Samantha watched from the station and whispered, "Look at us now." The species that had once mocked humanity now followed where they led, into a future brighter than any had imagined possible.